latest installment in Capcom's signature horror franchise may not be just one of the best Resident Evil remakes ever, it might just be one of the best Resident Evil games ever. Actually, let me take that back. It might just be one of the best video games ever. Everything about Resident Evil 4 Remake is a vast improvement on the original 2005 version of the game. The gameplay mechanics are excellent and extremely well done. Leon's movement feels very fluid and realistic. His fighting style definitely makes you feel as though he has undergone intense and excessive special forces training. The way Leon moves from shooting his gun to following up with a roundhouse kick into stabbing a downed enemy is seamlessly flawless. The parrying ability is an excellent addition, and no matter how many times you do it, it's always great when you get that perfect parry against the chainsaw. But it's not just Leon's gameplay that feels vastly improved, it's Ashley's that really stands out. In the original version, you could simply have Ashley wait for you or to follow along with you. In the remake, you can tell her to follow closely behind if you're trying to move quickly through an area, or loosely behind if you wanted to stay back at a safe distance while you clear out the path ahead. Ashley will also perform actions of her own accord, such as climbing down ladders and jumping off of small ledges, instead of yelling for Leon to come and save her. For the most part, I felt that Ashley did a good job of avoiding the enemies as well, except there were a few times where she just cowered in a crowd of them. The way the villagers respond to Ashley too is a great improvement, as they no longer try to kill her, but instead try to capture her, which makes way more sense in the confines of the story. Some of my favorite parts of my playthrough are when Ashley was captured and I had to fight through a horde of villagers to rescue her before they carried her off. Another terrific aspect of the game were the boss fights, each of which were extremely well done. I found each of the fights to be very challenging, but not overly frustrating. Well, except for one. However, I blame it on more of me being a bad gamer than the fight itself. I also really enjoyed the level design of the game. Each of the three main areas, the village, castle, and island, felt very new and unique, but also very true and faithful to the originals. I really enjoyed the nice touches of sometimes entering an area from a different entrance point than it was in the original, where you go through a doorway expecting to end up one place, but you'd be in a new area, and the place you expected to end up was later on. I think the castle was actually the most improved part of the game. It truly felt real and alive. It is very clear that the developers of this game have a lot of love and respect for the original game, and that is shown in the careful details they put into each little aspect of the game. The story is also a huge improvement over the original version. It is more in-depth and well written. The characters are also well more fleshed out. The dialogue between Leon and Ashley throughout gameplay is an excellent touch and really builds their relationship. Luis is given a much more prominent role. His character development is excellent and really adds depth to not only his story, but the overall story of the game. In fact, I think Luis might be the best character in this game. I don't want to go into spoilers, but I also found Sadler to be a much more creepy villain in this version of the game. And Salazar? Well, I feel like you truly have to experience Salazar for yourself. I only have two minor issues with the game, the first being the puzzles. I'm not sure if it's that the puzzles were extremely difficult, or if I'm just extremely dumb, but I did get frustrated at times trying to solve most of them. The other thing that disappointed me was the lack of Ada. I felt that she was much more prominent in the original version, and then in this version she's been replaced by Luis. I also didn't like Ada's introduction in this game, as I felt it wasn't as impactful as it was in the original. However, the Ada-centric DLC Separate Ways is heavily expected, which may explain why she's not as prominent. In the end, truly, I have nothing but the highest regards for this game. So now you're probably wondering to yourself, but Drew, the title of your video. Yes, let us talk about the title of this video. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a 10 out of 10 game, but it's not. As I said in the beginning, Resident Evil 4 Remake might not be just one of the best Resident Evil remakes of all time. It may not be one of the best Resident Evil games of all time. It may be just one of the best video games of all time. I truly love this game. However, there is something for me that holds it back, something that I cannot put my finger on. I cannot give a reason for why I think that this game is not a 10 out of 10. I find no glaring issues with it. There's nothing that irks me really, nothing that I don't enjoy doing, yet deep down for me it is not a 10 out of 10 game.